Good day, everyone. I will now be presenting my website technical description and walkthrough for the Web Development Assessment number 2. Let's begin. Regarding the coding aspect, I have implemented HTML, CSS, and Java. The following HTML and CSS code collaborate together to build a responsive navigation bar, which I have kept constant throughout my web page. I had settled on a simple yet aesthetically pleasing navigation bar design which simplifies the sense of exploration for the user. In the HTML structure, there's a navigation section that contains several elements, a toggle button for the menu, a labeled icon representing the menu using a label element with the class menu icon, a logo defined with an A tag having the class logo right here, a list of navigation options styled as an unordered list element with a class menu, and a search box, which is right here, which includes an input field and a search button. The CSS is responsible for styling these elements, arranging the menu icon, and positioning it accordingly. When activated, the menu expands to cover the entire page with links uniformly styled and providing hover effects. The logo stands out with a unique font and spacing. And the search box is customized with specific styles for its input field and button. Together, these efforts yield and conclude in a sleek and practical navigation bar that adjusts seamlessly with the overall design. And here is the navigation bar code, and this is the CSS code for the menu and the navigation bar. So there are four sections that structure and make up the home page. Firstly, the navigation bar section, which I have already discussed previously. Secondly, there is a grid layout section. Third, there is a thumbnail section. And lastly, there is a footer, which, like the navigation bar, I have kept constant in a few of my pages. Moving on to the code, the HTML structure includes a container of grid layout, or you could call it a carousel, since the images transition from one after the other automatically as well as manually with the use of forward and backward buttons. The grid layout holds a list of slide items, as you can already view here, contains an image and a description about the image. So here is the code. Here is the thumbnail section. The CSS code styles the appearance of the grid layout and its components. It sets the dimensions, positioning, and styling for the grid layout, container, forward and backward buttons, and additional elements like the thumbnail, which I have already previously shown in the HTML code. It also defines animations for the slide transition, including effects like fading and sliding. So here it is, and the animation I was talking about. And the timing, and the footer CSS. The Java code adds interactivity and functionality to the carousel or the grid layout. It initializes variables to hold references to DOM element like grid layout container, slide items, and navigation buttons. The user can click the button, which triggers the function when clicked. These functions manipulate the DOM to move the slides accordingly, either when the user clicks the button or timeouts used to automate the sliding process. This is the code, and that concludes the home section of my web page. Moving on to the shop section of my web page. So my shop page consists of three HTML files. Shop.html contains the overall structure of the store page. And here you can see I have kept the navigation bar constant, which I have mentioned already before. Template.html represents the main shop page layout, and it utilizes SVG for the cart icon. Detail.html displays detailed information about a specific icon. And here is the CSS code. I have utilized media query as well. Moving on to the Java part now. And the main reason why the shop page functions so amazingly is because of the Java content that I included in the code. So it consists of 4 Java files. So shopping underscore cart Java file manages the cart functionality, which allows the user to add or remove desired product. The products Java file defines an array of product objects, each representing a product available in the store. Each object includes properties like ID, name, price, the image, and its description. App's Java file contains the initialization of the app. And finally, the details.js handles the product detail. Let's take a look at the company section where the HTML lays the foundation for our engaging content section. So the Heroes section here welcomes the user with the carousel styled using Flexbox for centering and responsiveness, along with features added such as the hover effect to increase visual appeal. So here you can see this is the team section. And here at the end are some of the artists and their new songs. Now the CSS enhances the appearance and functionality. Sliding animations and hover effects in the project section keeps the users engaged. Media query has also been utilized here. And here is the rest of the code. Now comes the news page. The HTML code structures the content. Navigation again, as I mentioned before, I have kept constant. A banner section showcasing the current news and hot topics, and the 2 main content areas for the top and latest stories. Here you can see the class hot topic where I've added the image, the heading, and a bit of description. And the class bottom left, and the footer, which I have kept constant. The CSS styles applied to elements defining the visual presentation. It handles aspects like typography, layout, colors, and responsiveness. I have applied media queries as well to make it adaptable to different screens. And together, the HTML and CSS code creates an engaging news page. Moving on. Finally, the contact page. So the HTML code is divided into 2 main sections, an info wrap sections which displays the contact information and social media links, and a form wrap section which contains a form for users to send messages. So here it is, the form wrap section. Send us a message, there we go. And I have added consistent comments for easy understanding for me, and a footer which I have kept constant. The CSS code styles these sections and their elements, setting widths, colors, fonts, and responsive behaviors. It ensures consistent padding and margin, utilizes a border radius for rounded corners, and employs transition for hover effects. Overall, this contact page is responsive and simple and visually appealing. Now for the demonstration of my web page. The first thing you see when you visit my page is a automatic carousel or a grid layout, which I have mentioned before, and with the help of Java, it can automatically or manually change the slide. So here you can see there are buttons here, and if I want the image or slide to move forward, I can just click this button and it will move to the previous slide. The navigation bar, which I have kept constant throughout my web page, and it has a hover effect like so, and a footer here which contains general information. Moving on. Next comes the store page. This is the page which required the most Java. Here you can see there's a display of products with their names. There's a shopping cart icon. And when you click on the icon, it changes and it shows a product description. You can also add to the cart, which you have noticed here increases the number of items, and you can use the buttons here to either increase or decrease. And I have used JSON as well for this. Moving on. Next comes the company page, which I have applied CSS and HTML. So the first thing you see is this carousel. And when you click on the arrow, it changes the text. And here is the subdivisions and divisions under Hive. And when you click on the different sub-companies, the images and text related to the company come up. And here is a bit more info about. And here are a few of the artists and has the hover effect as well as on the CEO section. And here are some of the release. Moving on, here is the page. Next is the news page, where I have divided it and provided different buttons, and it's divided into different sections. Here there are a lot of hover effects and a footer which I've kept constant. Moving on, next is the contact page. I have kept the contact page very simple. It contains the footer and the header, which I have kept constant, the navigation bar. Here you can see you can add the first name, the last name, the mail, the phone number, and you can write a message as well. And here are her effects to visit their online social media. And there's a hover effect to send the message. Moving on. And the last and final page, which is the About page, it contains simple information about the CEO and general information about their objective, about their company. So here it is, the footer and the navigation bar. And here's the card with some little information. Here's the CEO or the chairman. Here you go, a little bit of text. And the CEO of Hike Japan. And that concludes my video demonstration for my website.